The eyes are on the Jersey Shore. Hello, everyone. I am Vin Avenue from my home office in Toms River. And my guest today is the Manchester Mayor, Robert Hudak, who's going to be talking about some goals and things that could be happening in Manchester throughout the year here in 2022 and giving us a little bit of an idea about who he is. We're going to have some fun a little bit later as well, some things that he likes to do, maybe some football teams or whatever. Hopefully not, we'll forgive you if you're a Giants fan, because I am as well. We'll just... last 5 years, we'll scrap that.
We can forget about that.
Right.
I'm a Giants fan too, so I understand.
So my suffering and the suffering of so many other people in the New York, New Jersey area.
Absolutely, yeah. I can commiserate, and I'm one of you, so I certainly.
So there we go.
Certainly feel your pain, or whatever they say. Yes.
Hopefully, their search for a general manager and a head coach is the right selections there for them, so that next season, and for the years back moving forward, we'll be back in the playoffs and heading toward another Super Bowl. So with that, Mayor, thanks for taking out some time. I know I want to hit on a lot of things that are good, that could be happening this year, things that are going to be happening in Manchester and everything. We'll get to that. We'll have some fun as well at the end. But I'm sure it's a busy start to the year. I appreciate you taking out a little bit of time to start with here.
No, thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
So brand new year, brand new expectations. I know you won the election after being appointed after Mayor Ken Palmer had left last year. So to start the year, so clean slate, you're sworn in about a week ago now. So what are some things that you want to try to get done immediately and long-term throughout the year, you and the council here in Manchester?
Well, three of the things we had talked about during the campaign that we're looking forward to working on are: one, bringing economic development to Whiting; two, working on preservation of open space; and three, fiscal responsibility in our town. And I'm going to touch first on the economic development in Whiting. I mean, I've heard a lot of talk about, or concerns, I should say, about folks who are, they want to see some commercial ratables come into Whiting. So on that front, I put together what's called the Economic Development Advisory Council, and they're going to work with me on projects to help bring in retailers such as Aldi, Lidl, and other possibilities coming into Whiting. We're also seeing some plans, some preliminary plans to do some other work out there, including possibly bringing in a car wash, which is something I heard a lot about during the campaign, as well as other ratables to Whiting, restaurants, and a few other commercial non-residential developments. The second front would be, like I said, open space, particularly on the eastern end of town. I've been working with the county to and move forward with a program to buy more open space. It's very expensive now. The real estate market's quite hot, so it does create some challenges. However, I'm proud to announce that the county and the township are partnering on the purchase of the Surf and Stream campground. And that'll actually be coming up to the Ocean County Lands Trust Fund meeting on the 18th. And they'll formally be acquiring this property. Obviously, there's some more steps to go along the way, but it'll go a long way towards preserving that property. And that was slated to be developed into about 245 apartment units. So we'll be stopping that overdevelopment on that property. On the last front, as far as budgeting goes, is I've talked about a lot during the campaign. I believe in zero-based budgeting and making municipalities accountable for every tax dollar that's spent. So on that front, we've put together a new budget directive on how we want our departments to analyze their budgets, present us with information, and bring it to the council so that we can really show accountability to the residents of Manchester Township.
I think especially recently, Manchester is certainly one of the towns that has a lower tax rate in Ocean County. So I think Manchester's certainly done a great job of that for its residents there. Given I'm sure it's better than what it was in 2020, but given where things are still at with the pandemic and some of the state emergencies and everything, do you see a lot of challenges in putting together the budget for this year, either because of COVID or because of other projects or things that you wanted to get done or that the town wanted to get done over the last couple of years, but something got delayed because of the pandemic and whatever domino effect that followed that?
I don't know if I would classify it as problems with the budget necessarily. Just in general, we've had a lot of issues because of COVID. Certainly, revenues have been steady. However, we've seen, an uptick in some construction, obviously. That has boosted some revenues. However, in other areas, obviously, we've seen issues and problems. So I think our biggest challenge with the budget this year is just making sure we hold the line on spending. I mean, that's something I think that residents here, and we've always had that fiscally responsible belief, whether, it was the council years back or even currently. But I think the best way to describe it is it challenging? Yes, inflation's caused some of the problems, but I wouldn't say it's a huge issue.
I want to circle back to another topic you mentioned in the opening statement there with ratables and stores and restaurants and everything. To give an idea, just generally, not for Manchester, how does all that typically work with putting in different supermarkets or different retail stores in a town? Is that something that a town would approach a corporate office or a restaurant chain about, or is that something that towns would typically hear from, hey, we're looking at leasing out this particular space in town or something?
It's a bit of both. I mean, typically what happens is retailers do consistent, they're constantly doing demographic studies to see where they can get the most profits. But townships can also market their communities in some way, shape, or form, which is why I formed the Business and Economic Development Committee to help me with that, like put those things together. I know some residents have on their own been putting together petitions and things like that. Certainly that's very helpful, and I encourage them to do that, but I wanted to coordinate those efforts so that we can reach out to those retailers and say, hey, give us a second look.
Have you heard a lot from residents about a particular brand of supermarket or restaurant or other kind of store that they would like to see in any part of Manchester or along the Whiting section?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a number of different things. I mean, Aldi's one that constantly comes up to me, and we've reached out to them on a number of occasions. They have taken a look around. They have not really expressed any interest at this time. However, we want to keep our name on the front burner, so to speak. So we keep contacting them and reaching out to them to ensure that, they know we're here. And I think that's a big part of what we need to do.
To transition over to projects, I don't know, and you could say how much it has to do with the budget or what you can get done this year, but I know there's been some things that the township has outlined, either with the renovation projects with at Bowker Field in Whiting, or the creation of a solar field, retail expansion at the Whiting Commons Plaza. What can you tell me about the progress of those projects and anything else that is in the works right now or being planned for in Manchester or Whiting this year?
Well, looking at the Whiting landfill project, that's been moving forward. We're still in discussions with DEP with that. So we're hoping that'll come to fruition by the end of this year. We're also looking at, as far as the Whiting Commons go, as I understand, their application is going to be pending before the planning board at some time. And what they're looking to put in are several restaurants into the Whiting Commons Plaza. So that's two of the major developments that'll be occurring within the next 12 months.
And you're also partnering up with the Ocean County Natural Lands Trust to purchase the Surf and Stream Campground off 571. How did that come about, and when could residents in Manchester see something happen this year?
Well, it came about because we were looking at properties to purchase for open space along that corridor. And it so happened that we had some interest from the property owner in selling the property to us for open space purposes. There had originally been some plans about developing it into around 250, like I said, 245 residential units. And so when the opportunity came up, it seemed right that we would, we can partner with the county on this. And so I had a conversation with the commissioners, and so we decided to partner on it. Now, July 18th, the Ocean County Natural Lands Trust will be having a meeting to formalize the purchase. So that'll be the next big event, and then it will move forward negotiations from there.
In terms of the environment as well, because a couple of these projects certainly have to do with that as well. What concerns do you have with climate change or with the environment in how it affects the township of Manchester? Have you had any discussions with the state DEP on addressing anything from flooding to weather impacts and so on and so forth in Manchester, and in trying to resolve those issues?
Well, one of the things that we've been working on, and this started even before my administration, we've been working in this, particularly Pine Lake Park has had a number of flooding issues over the years. And so we were able to get some funding last year to work on the 5 or 6 major areas of flooding in Pine Lake Park. And we're going to move forward with addressing other areas in the not too distant future. So we're also working to try to get some grant funding for that as well.
What are some things that people can be looking forward to by the time the summer rolls around here? Certainly, and we certainly hope as we begin 2022 that it'll be, and I think in a lot of ways, normal has been overused with people seeking the new normal and everything over the last year, just kind of that anticipated hope. And hopefully with the current Omicron surge that it passes soon. But some things that by the summertime rolls around that people could be looking forward to doing in Manchester and taking advantage of all the restaurants and the stores and the parks that Manchester has to offer.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can have everything open at full capacity by hopefully the next few months. And that would certainly lead to more activities we have during the summer. I know our rec program is looking forward to a full schedule. So they have trips planned, they have activities for our youth planned. In past years, we had to cancel that, of course, because of COVID, or it was limited capacity. So moving forward, hopefully we'll be at full capacity and people can enjoy those programs again.
Has there been any discussions, because I know there have been towns all over the state that have reinstated some indoor mask mandates with the current surge. Have there been any discussions about putting in mask mandates inside whether government or municipal buildings, or just putting it in full effect across the township at restaurants and stores, especially with the amount of senior population that lives within Manchester? Have there been discussions about either a mask mandate or putting in some sort of other safety measures to help protect the population of Manchester?
Well, I know a number of the senior villages have either decided to require masks in their clubhouses or have decided to limit activities in their clubhouses. I know a number of the senior meetings have been canceled, and some of them won't be meeting again until perhaps March at this point. That's the latest I've heard.
What are some of the other concerns you have with where things are currently at with the pandemic, and how it could affect just anywhere really, but how it could affect anything going on in Manchester, whether that's certainly and first and foremost the health and population of everybody who lives and works in Manchester, but also anything else that is scheduled to take place or may have to be delayed because if the surge continues or there's, God forbid, another variant that surfaces?
Well, I think the biggest concern of mine, especially with the health and safety of both our senior population and our young population. I mean, because we've had to close things down, because we've had to limit exposure, we have a lot of our seniors that haven't been out in quite some time. So talking with some of the nonprofits that work in town, one of the biggest issues is loneliness. I hate to say it that way, that they don't have, they're not having conversations with people. So I've worked with some of the nonprofits to see how we can address that issue. And as far as the youth go, because I have 3 children myself, certainly, they've become, I want to say, desensitized to wearing masks and things like that. And it's kind of sad because it's lingering with them. That concern about what could happen. I've seen it with my daughter particularly. I've seen her demeanor somewhat change. And that's certainly a concern of mine. I'm sure a concern of a lot of other parents who are seeing similar feelings in their children. I don't want to digress a bit, but I think about my grandmother. My grandmother lived through the Great Depression and raised a family. And some of those things that she used to do back then, from cutting down curtains that were faded and using them for dresses and things like that, stayed with her always. And that feeling of loss was always there. I'm wondering how it's going to affect our children in that way, how they are going to be affected by this in the long term, similar to that other generation that learned to save and be thrifty and, always waiting for the other shoe to fall. So I'm interested, but curious to see how that evolves. So.
To touch on a lighter point there with your three kids, what were some of the fun things that you and your family did especially through the early part of the pandemic when you couldn't really go anywhere or do anything? Some fun things you did to pass the time and especially maybe just step away from all the information news kind of going out there, just do something to smile a little bit, even for a couple hours.
We had a Nerf gun war, believe it or not, all five of us. It was a lot of fun. We also did a lot of board games and things like that. And it was very helpful in a way, in a strange way of helping us reconnect as a family, because we had to do so much together. My kids are very active. They're in 5 different directions, all 3 of them. And so it was a good opportunity for us to reconnect. And we did just a lot of simple things around the house, whether it was playing board games, like I said, having a Nerf gun war, just talking and having meals together, things like that, which, you don't often do with our busy schedules.
And to continue along the lighter trend and getting to know you too, certainly as the mayor this year for residents and everybody else, what are some things that you enjoy doing, regardless of COVID, before COVID or whatever movies you watch, sports you watch? I know we mentioned at the top that we're both admittedly Giants fans, and I'm a loyal Giants fan, and diehard Giants fan. I'll stick with them. But some things you like to do, either with your family or just kind of do to relax, books to read, movies to watch. What are some things you enjoy doing?
Well, I think the first thing because my kids are so involved, I get to do a lot of baseball and basketball and dance with my kids, because they're my life, so to speak. And I'm an avid baseball fan. I'm a diehard New York Yankees fan. Unfortunately, my son is a diehard Washington Nationals fan. So it becomes a little bit of a war between the two of us sometimes. But he's a great kid, and he's my favorite player, I always say, when people ask me that. It's my son. And he does a lot of travel ball. So we go, of course, COVID put a little bit of kibosh on some of that, but we do a lot of traveling with him. My daughter's involved in competitive dance, so we're traveling with that sometimes. And even to your point earlier about COVID, put a kibosh on some of her competitions, although they're starting to come back, which is great. I mean, we have those opportunities to travel. I'm a big fisherman too, so it was a good opportunity to go out and fish a lot when everybody, be outdoors and do something alone. So I have my sons enjoy doing that. In fact, my oldest caught his first legal striped bass this fall, so he's very excited about that.
Impressive, very nice.
Yeah, he was very happy, and it was on his birthday, which made it even more impressive for him. Something he'll always remember.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If you could do something like that on your birthday, that's a gift you'll remember forever.
Yeah, he really enjoyed that. He wanted me to take 100 pictures of it. So,
oh, of course.
So yeah. I mean, it's just as far as books, I love history. So I'm a big reader of U.S. history, particularly. So. I did get to read a few books. My favorite so far that I've read was I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was a while back. I remember. Why can't I think of it? I love Lincoln, and I read a lot of books on him. And it was Team of Rivals, Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Okay.
I read that a while back, so that was one of my favorites during the pandemic. Because again, how much time do you spend on your phone or with everybody else in one room? We'd all go off and kind of read for a little bit. So
I'm sure
a chance to catch up on something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure a lot of teens and other young people found ways to just be on their phone or play video games. Oh
my goodness, yeah. But at some point it became almost like I'm bored with that. I've done it already. It's like, what do you do? Oh, well, I guess we can go read for a little bit. So at night it was a good time to catch up on reading. So
exactly. As we close out, Manchester Township, goes without saying, is a great town with a lot to offer, a lot of great people working there, the government building, a lot of great first responders, the police department. What makes Manchester Township such a great place to live? And what is it you want to continue to do to help, make Manchester such a great place to live and to work and to be in?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's great people. Manchester Township is a lot of dedicated people. We have a lot of volunteers that help out in the community. And I think continuing that and bringing those folks together to help everybody. During this pandemic, I think the one thing we did see is people, although maybe not physically getting together, but helping one another out in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes when when things are at their worst, we're at our best. And you can really see that here in Manchester throughout the pandemic. People working together, doing making sure that, like I said, our nonprofits, for example, making sure those people that really don't have any connection to anyone, were connected with. They had food, they had someone that they could at least call on the phone or talk to, those sorts of things. I mean, our community is really great at coming together. So we want to continue that. I think that's the most important thing of all.
Mayor Hudak, thanks for taking out some time to discuss some goals for 22 and some other great things that are going on in Manchester, could be going on in Manchester, as well as sharing a little bit about yourself and how you and the family have spent the duration of the pandemic, especially quarantine and everything early on. And hopefully, and I wish you and the council, the administration, everybody in Manchester, police, fire, EMS, to continue to do great work for the people living and working in Manchester and make it a great 2022.
Well, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Anytime, Mayor. Thank you again. That is Manchester Township Mayor Robert Hudak. I am Vin Ebenu, and thank you for watching another episode of Eyes on the Jersey Shore.